Well, I'm glad to see you three getting along. Looks like you're definitely ready for today's read aloud. So remember, the doorbell rang. A small voice called out. The voice said, "Great Aunt Tootie?" Okay, chapter 17. I smell squirrel. There was a boy at the door. He was short, and his hair was so blonde that it looked almost white. His eyes were hidden behind enormous dark glasses. In addition to Terrible Things Can Happen to You, The Illuminated Adventures of the Amazing Incandesto regularly featured a second bonus comic entitled The Criminal Element is Among Us. The Criminal Element gave very specific pointers on how to never ever be fooled by a criminal. And one of the oft-repeated dictums of the criminal element was that the best way to get to know a person was to look him or her directly in the eye. Flora tried to look the boy in the eye, but all she saw was a reflection of herself in his dark glasses. She looked short and uncertain, like an accordion in pajamas. "William," said Tootie, "I told you to stay put." "I heard screaming," said the boy. His voice was high and thin. "I was concerned. I came as fast as I could. Unfortunately, on the way over here, I had a small but extremely violent encounter with some variety of shrub, and now I'm bleeding." "I think I'm bleeding. I'm pretty sure I smell blood, but no one should be concerned. Please don't overreact." "This," said Tootie, "is my nephew." "Great nephew," said the boy, "and I hope I don't need stitches. Do you think I need stitches?" "His name is William," said Tootie. "William Spiver, actually," said Tootie's nephew. "I prefer to be called William Spiver. It distinguishes me from the multiplicity of Williams in the world." He smiled. "It's a pleasure to meet you, whoever you are. I would shake your hand, but as I said, I think I am bleeding. Also, I'm blind." "You are not blind," said Tootie. "I am suffering from a temporary blindness induced by trauma," said William Spiver. Temporary blindness induced by trauma. The word sent a chill down Flora's spine. Seemingly, there is no end to the things that could go wrong with human beings. Isn't that so true? Why hadn't Terrible Things Can Happen to You done an issue on temporary blindness induced by trauma? And guys, just so we know trauma, do we know what that means? It means when something really bad happens and you can't stop feeling bad about it. Or for that matter, on extended hallucinations. "I am temporarily blind," said William Spiver again. "How unfortunate," said Flora's mother. "He's not blind," said Tootie, "but as of this morning, he is staying with me for the summer. Imagine my surprise and excitement." "I have nowhere else to go, Great Aunt Tootie," said William Spiver. "You know that. I am at the mercy of the winds of fate." "Oh," said Flora's mother. She clapped her hands. "How wonderful! A little friend for Flora." "I don't need a little friend," said Flora. "Of course you do," said her mother. She turned to Tootie. "Flora is very lonely. She spends far too much time reading comics. I've tried to break her of the habit, but I'm very busy with my novel writing, and she's alone a lot. I'm worried that it has made her strange." "I'm not strange," said Flora. This seemed like a safe statement to make when someone as truly profoundly strange as William Spiver was standing beside her. "I would be happy to be your friend," said William Spiver. "Honored." He bowed. "How lovely," said Flora's mother. "Yes," said Flora, "how lovely." "The blind," said William Spiver, "even the temporarily blind, have an excellent sense of smell." "Oh, for heaven's sake," said Tootie. "Here we go. I have to tell you that I smell something out of the ordinary. Something that is not usually smelled within the confines of human domestic sphere," said William Spiver. He cleared his throat. "I smell squirrel." "Squirrel!" Confronted with the spectacle of William Spiver, they had forgotten about Ulysses. Flora and her mother and Tootie all turned and looked to Ulysses. He was still on top of Mary Ann. He had managed to balance himself on the small green and blue globe that was on the center of the lampshade. "That squirrel," said Flora's mother. "He's rabid, diseased. He's got to go." Dun dun dun. Okay, chapter 18, A Scientific Adventure. "Why don't you let me take the squirrel?" said Tootie to Flora's mother. "I'll just return him to the wild." If you call the backyard the wild," said William Spiver. "Hush up, William," said Tootie. She reached for Ulysses. "Don't touch it!" shrieked Flora's mother. "Not without gloves. It has some sort of disease." If you could just get me some gloves then," said Tootie. "I'll pluck the squirrel off the lampshade and whisk him out of here and set him free. The kids can come along. It will be a scientific adventure." "It doesn't sound very scientific to me," said William Spiver. "Well," said Flora's mother, "I don't know. Florabelle's father's coming to pick her up for their Saturday visit. He'll be here any minute now, and she's still in her pajamas." "Florabelle?" said William Spiver. "What a lovely, melodious name." "It will just take a minute," said Tootie in a low, soothing voice. "The kids can get to know each other." "I'll get you some gloves," said Flora's mother. And so now here they were, walking over to Tootie's, getting to know each other, or something. Tootie put Ulysses down on the table. "I don't understand," said William Spiver. "We're back at your house, but I can still smell the squirrel." Flora took the paper out of her pajamas. She handed it to Tootie. She felt like a spy, a successful spy, a triumphant spy, albeit a spy in pajamas. "What's this?" said Tootie. "It's proof that you aren't victim of an extended hallucination," said Flora. Tootie held the paper with both hands. She stared at it. "Squirtle," she said. "Squirtle," said William Spiver. "Keep reading," said Flora. "Squirtle," said Tootie. "I am Ulysses, born anew." "See?" said Flora. "What does that prove?" said William Spiver. "What does it even mean?" "The squirrel's name is Ulysses," said Tootie. "Wait a minute," said William Spiver. Are you positing that the squirrel typed those words?" "Positing? Positing?" "Yes," said Flora. "That's exactly what I am positing." "The hallucination ends," said Tootie. "What hallucination?" "What hallucination?" said William Spiver. "The squirrel is a superhero hallucination," said Tootie. "Surely you jest," said William Spiver. Ulysses sat up on his hind legs. He looked at William Spiver and then at Tootie, and finally he turned his eyes to Flora. He raised his eyebrows and gave her a look full of questions, full of hope. Flora felt a pang of doubt. He was, after all, just a squirrel. She had no proof that he was a superhero. What if there was some other explanation for those words? Also, there was Tootie's disturbing point to consider. What kind of superhero types? And then she thought about Alfred. How everyone doubted him, how no one, except the parakeet Dolores, knew that he was incandesto, and how no one, except for Dolores, truly believed in him. Was it Flora's job to believe in Ulysses? And what did that make her, a parakeet? "Let me get this straight," said William Spiver. "You, a self-professed cynic, are positing that the squirrel is a superhero." The words, "do not hope, instead observed," flitted through Flora's brain. She took a deep breath. She brushed the phrase away. "The squirrel typed those words," she said. "Well," said William Spiver, whose hand was on Flora's shoulder. Why didn't he move his hand? "Let's just approach this scientifically. We'll put the squirrel in front of Great Aunt Tootie's computer, and we'll ask him to type. Again." Okay, so I looked up the word positing. It's positing. I think I said positing, like to pose, but it's positing. What William Spiver said, like, so you're suggesting that the squirrel can type. You're positing that the squirrel can type. So I learned something too. So here's your questions for today. So do you think that Ulysses is going to type on the computer? Because remember, William Spiver says, let's see if he'll do it. So do you think that he's gonna do it? Yes or no, and why not? So go ahead, pause the video and answer the question. So if you do think he's gonna do it, why do you think he'll type, and what will he say? Okay, and if you don't think he's gonna do it, why do you think he's not gonna do it? Okay, so go ahead, pause your video and answer that. And then your other question is so William Spiver is temporarily blind. Okay, so what do you think happened to him that made him blind? There's really no way of knowing this from what we've read, but just it's an opportunity to make up something creative. So what could have happened to him that would have made him blind? So like maybe did he see like an elephant stampede, or what could have happened? Okay, so just those 2 questions for today, and I will see you later today. Say bye, Dave. Bye.